India overtakes China to become the world's most populous country. UN data shows 25% of Indian population is below 14. Same-sex marriages cannot be termed urban elitist concept just because more people from the cities are coming out of the closet, says CJI D.Y. Chandrachud as the Constitution bench hears the matter. The centre in its affidavit had said gay marriage rights don't represent the views of the nation and is an urban elitist view. A day of high-profile nominations in Karnataka. Siddaramaiah from the Varuna constituency, incumbent Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai from Shigaon, with party chief JP Nadda and superstar Kicha Sudeep campaigning for him. BJP's Yediyurappa says they are confident of Lingayat votes even as top community leaders exit party. Sudan remains tense and movement risky. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar speaks to his Saudi Arabian and UAE counterparts who offer on-ground support for the safety of Indians in Sudan. Siddaramaiah and Jaishankar publicly spar over 31 tribals from Karnataka stuck in the country. World's most valuable company, Apple, all set to open its first store in Delhi. Apple CEO Tim Cook meets Prime Minister Modi, thanks him and says he shares his vision of positive impact technology can make on India's future. Meets IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav as well. PM response says he's glad to have shared the tech-powered transformation and its highlights with Tim Cook. You're with NDTV. I'm Maha Siddiqui. Our top story. The Central Bureau of Investigation has registered a case against Oxfam India and its office bearers for allegedly violating the provisions of India's foreign funding rules. The CBI said that it acted on a complaint from the Home Ministry, which had suspended Oxfam India's FCRA license in January last year. The Ministry of Home Affairs has accused Oxfam India of indulging in anti-national activities and lobbying with foreign governments and institutions to pressure the Indian government for FCRA renewal. The CBI is carrying out searches at the premises of Oxfam India as well. Arvind with more details.
The Central Bureau of Investigation has booked Oxfam India and its office bearers for alleged violation of the provisions of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. The Central Bureau of Investigation, based on the complaint from MHA, has registered a criminal case against Oxfam India and its office bearers for violating several provisions of the FCRA. Very importantly, MHA in its complaint, which has been accessed by the NDTV, reveals that the MHA has alleged that Oxfam India has routed almost 13 lakhs to another non-profit organization, Center for Policy Research, between a financial year of 2019 to 2020, violating provisions of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Also, very importantly, MHA has also alleged that Oxfam India also received foreign contribution to the tune of almost 1.5 crore between financial year 2013 to 2016 into the foreign contribution account instead of routing it through the designated account. Very importantly, MHA in its complaint has also alleged that Oxfam India tried to pressurize Indian government for renewal of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act license through several foreign governments and also foreign institutions, and that's why the MHA, the centre, has asked the Central Bureau of Investigation to initiate a criminal investigation into this particular case. With camera person Ashwini Mehra, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
Now, on day 2 of the Constitution bench hearing same-sex marriage issue, CJI D.Y. Chandrachud countered the government on the argument of adoption, saying existing laws allow a person to adopt even if he or she is in a same-sex relationship. So the argument that this will create a psychological impact on the child is belied by the fact that today, as the law stands, it's open. Meanwhile, the CJI also said that same-sex marriages cannot be termed urban elitist concept just because more people from cities are coming out of the closet. That's what the Supreme Court had said while hearing this, the bunch of petitions that they have before them. The remark of the CJI is in response to the centre's submission that the petitions seeking gay marriage rights don't represent the view of the nation and that they reflect urban elitist view.
You cannot discriminate against, the state cannot discriminate against an individual on the basis of a characteristic over which the person has no control. And when you say that, this is an innate characteristic, it's also an argument in response to the contention that this is very, elitist or it's urban or it has a certain class bias. Anyway, there's no data is coming out by the government to indicate that this is urban or anything like that. Nothing. No data.
Wherever husband and wife is used, make it gender neutral by using spouse. Wherever, my lord, man and woman is used, make it gender specific, gender neutral by saying, my lord, person.
Incidentally, even if a couple is in a gay relationship or a lesbian relationship, one of them can still adopt.
No, more.
So the whole argument that this will create a sort of a psychological impact on the child is belied by the fact that even today, on the state of the law as it stands,
Grateful.
once you have decriminalized homosexuality,
Absolutely.
Therefore it's open to people to live in together, and one of you can adopt. It's just that the child loses the benefit of parenthood.
NDTV looks at the argument presented by the centre. Is same-sex marriage a mere urban elitist concept? Here's a glimpse from the hinterlands of India.
Bakalu village in Chhattisgarh's Surajpur is 1200 kilometers away from Delhi. Here, daily wage labourers Meena and Bodhkumar have been living together as a couple for 18 years. They can be described neither as urban or elite. Yet, they would welcome a favourable verdict from the Supreme Court that is hearing a plea for legalizing same-sex marriages.
माँ बाप लोग रहने नहीं दिए थे, घर से हटाते रहते थे जी। समाज वाले छोड़ दिए थे हम लोग को। अच्छा। तो हम लोग बोले कि छोड़ दिए तो हम दोनों एक साथ में रहेंगे ऐसे इनकी हम लोग शादी नहीं करवाएंगे। अच्छा, फिर आप लोग क्या किए? साथ में रहने से स्टार्ट किया।
After initial years of friction and resistance, the couple does not face hostility in the village now, but not being recognized as a family unit has meant they are deprived of the benefits of government's welfare schemes.
उनके बारे में यही जानता हूँ कि वो दोनों पत्नी लड़की हैं। वो लोग 10-20 साल से हो गए उम्र रहने के लिए, बस वो साथे में रहते हैं। बाकी उनको कोई परेशानी नहीं है, अपना कमा खा रहा है, रोजी रोटी चल रहा है।
This young man from Bhopal says he has not been able to tell his family or his social circle about his sexual orientation. He hopes the Supreme Court's verdict in the case would allow him to have a legal partner one day.
तो समवेयर उनको मुझसे लेके भी यही एक्सपेक्टेशंस थी कि ये थोड़ा मस्कुलर रहेगा या फिजिकल फिट रहेगा या आर्मी और डिफेंस की तरफ जाएगा, क्योंकि पर मेरा रुझान उस तरफ बचपन से ही नहीं रहा। और मैं बॉयज़ हॉस्टल में मेरे पेरेंट्स ने मुझे डाल दिया था, स्पोर्ट्स में मेरी बोर्डिंग में मैं रहता था, तो वहाँ पे सब बॉयज़ के साथ में रहना मुझे समवेयर अनकम्फर्टेबल फील होता था।
Whether urban or rural, life is never easy for same-sex partners, says Bosco.
I had a privilege of having people around me who were very nice to me, and I didn't face that much of discrimination. But still, I got discrimination, just a glare of eyes in college when people treat me differently because they gossip about it, that she's dressed differently. Just because I don't dress like a typical girl, I am something to gossip about.
Global estimates put the LGBTQ community in India over 135 million, and a favourable decision by the Supreme Court will make India 35th country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage, and if that happens, this will make life a little bit easier for people like Meena and Bodhkumar. With camera person Rizwan Khan in Bhopal and Anurag Dwari for NDTV.
Well, the battle for Karnataka is into the aggressive campaign mode now. BJP party chief JP Nadda campaigned for incumbent Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai, who filed his nomination from Shigaon. This even as the party downplayed the damage to their Lingayat vote bank after the exit of Jagdish Shettar. Meanwhile, Congress leader and former Chief Minister Siddaramaiah filed his papers from Varuna constituency, from where his son is a sitting MLA. Shrija and Veera Raghav with all the details.
Bommai in Shigaon, B.Y. Vijayendra in his father B.S. Yedurappa's constituency, Shikaripura. Congress's chief ministerial candidate, Siddaramaiah in Varuna constituency, and turncoat MLA Jagdish Shettar in Hubli Dharwad central constituency. Ahead of Bommai's nomination, Nagin dance fever gripped BJP's roadshow. Tens and thousands wearing saffron caps, holding BJP flags in their hands, travelled through streets of Shigaon in Bommai's constituency as BJP's national president Nadda, Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai along with star campaigner Kicha Sudeep travelled in a campaign vehicle. Seeking votes for another term, Bommai has been holding the seat since 2008.
ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಕ್ಷ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ 125ಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನು ಪಡೆದು ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತೆಯ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲು ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಜನರ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ, ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನದ ಕೊನೆ ಉಸಿರು ಇರೋವರೆಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ,
ಕೆಲಸ ನಡಿಬೇಕು, ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಬೇಕು, ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಬೇಕು. ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕರೆಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ವೇದಿಕೆ ಮೇಲೆ ನಡ್ಡಾಜಿ ಅವರು ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Appealing to the people of Shigao to vote for the BJP in the name of Modi, BJP National President JP Nadda stepped up his attack against the Congress and alleged that the grand old party was only about commission and corruption.
कांग्रेस का मतलब है कमीशन, कांग्रेस का मतलब है करप्शन, कांग्रेस का मतलब है क्रिमिनलाइजेशन. मैं आपसे कर्नाटक में विकास की गंगा बहती रहे, इसलिए कमल के निशान पर वोट मांगने के लिए आया हूं.
Mr. Bommai is seeking re-election from Shigao, from where he has been an MLA thrice. In another part of Karnataka, in Shikaripura constituency in Shimoga district, for B.S. Yedurappa's son B.Y. Vijendra, it's his first election. Exuding confidence contesting from Shikaripura, it is a constituency that has blessed his father for nearly 40 years.
Simply because Bharatiya Janata Party is not dependent on few leaders. This is a party based on cadres. Cadres are a strength. They are the strength for the party. So BJP is absolutely, they are not dependent on few leaders.
In the poll-bound state of Karnataka, Varuna constituency was filled with euphoria as Congress's chief ministerial candidate Siddaramaiah held a roadshow before filing his nomination, making an emotional appeal to the people of Varuna to vote him to power from the constituency. He played the last election card to seek votes. This will be his last elections.
ಚುನಾವಣಾ ಕೊನೆ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ನನಗೆ.
While in Hubli Dharwad constituency, turncoat Jagdish Shettar filed nomination in the presence of his supporters. Jagdish Shettar jumped the ship from the BJP to Congress after BJP High Command denied him a ticket. Candidate selection, polarization, caste arithmetic. A lot of factors are in play in this year's Karnataka election. While the BJP is fighting elections with first-timers, the Congress has gleefully welcomed some of the old faces of the BJP in a hope to return to power. In Shigao, with Veera Raghava, Shrija for NDTV.
Now, India has become the world's most populous country, overtaking China. The UN data pegs India's population at 142.86 crore against China's 142.57 crore. This is the first time since 1950, when the UN started putting out population data, that India emerged as the most populous country. There's no corroborative data from India, though, as the last census was done in 2011. But what does this mean for India? And despite the massive population burden, does it have demographic dividends? Vishnu Shom explains.
India is the world's most populous country now, says the United Nations. Our population 142.86 crores versus China's 142.57 crores. So just ahead, but that number is going to grow for a while, and we'll tell you why. 68% of India's population is between the ages of 15 to 64. That is a key part of our demographic dividend. The fact that we have a young population augurs well for us. But do remember, a young population means that they need to be sustained with jobs going forward. Therefore, job creation will be essential for India. India's population will start declining. If you want to know when, chances are about 2060. That's given the present rate of fertility that exists in the country. Now, there is an imbalance in India in terms of areas where more babies are born. So, for example, of every 100 babies born, almost 49 will be in 4 North Indian states. Uttar Pradesh, 22 of 100 babies, Bihar, 12 of 100, Madhya Pradesh, 7 of 100, and Rajasthan, 7 of every 100 babies. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because the 5 southern states together contribute only 16 babies, right? So there's a big discrepancy between the number of children being born in the north of the country in those states compared to the south. Now let's take a look and compare that with China. Now China faces not a demographic dividend but a demographic decline as the birth rate has plunged. Workforces in China have started to age substantially, and also several other countries in Europe and Asia can also expect a demographic slump.
Well, worried after several cases of death by suicide, IITs are now taking steps to ensure mental health for their students. The Premier Technology Institutes have decided to appoint more mental health counsellors. From academic pressure, feeling of discrimination and fear of being judged, students point to several challenges.
Ritika, in the final year at IIT, is among those who found it hard to fit in. Something the IITs are now trying to address.
If I had to talk about 2 categories of issues, I'd say firstly is the academic issues that we face, because there is a lot of pressure academically, but there is a lot of pressure fitting in also. So talking about the academic pressure, personally for me, since I came with the supernumerary seat, it was always a lot of pressure that I have to prove myself to my batch that bhale I was in the lower ranks of coming into IIT Delhi, but still I am a good candidate. Maine seat waste nahi kiya. That is a very big pressure that was for me when I came to IIT Delhi.
The governing body of the IITs has decided to induct more counsellors in all the 23 colleges across India. There have been 33 student deaths by suicides at the prestigious engineering institutions in the last 5 years, the highest among all the premier higher education institutes. Over half have been from the SC/ST communities. This year, 18-year-old Darshan Solanki committed suicide at IIT Bombay. His family alleges that he was harassed on campus because of his caste. The government now tends to adopt a policy of zero tolerance against discrimination in IITs.
So the thinking behind the office was really to bring together all the different groups who have different differences and see how we can work together to mainstream them. Now this is really a question of at 2 levels. One is sensitization and awareness, and the other is to mainstream.
But caste is only one reason for the pressure some students feel. Other reasons include sexual orientation and coping with the studies.
In one way or another, we are striving towards 24/7 individualized access of requirements to each student. The first priority is to first of all get an early indication of some student who has problem.
At the IIT Council meet, the Education Minister talked about the need to reduce pressure and fear of failure among students.
दुनिया में ऐसे कोई बड़ा औद्योगिक घराना नहीं है जिसमें IIT इकोसिस्टम से लीडरशिप नहीं पहुंचा है. डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किसी भी प्रकार ना हो, उसके लिए वहां की पढ़ाने वाले फैकल्टी, वहां का डीन इकोसिस्टम, डायरेक्टर्स, इसकी रिस्पांसिबिलिटी बनती है. ये एक सोसाइटल चैलेंजेस कई प्रकार की है. ये सारा विषय ना हो, उसमें क्या दिक्कत आ रही है, क्या आगे करना चाहिए, उसके ऊपर चर्चा हुई.
With the IIT Council's renewed focus on mental health and zero tolerance towards discrimination, the hope is that cases of trauma and suicide will reduce on IIT campuses. Students, however, say there is a long way to go. In New Delhi with camera person Sushil Rathi, Vedant for NDTV.